think it's coming, going around. I was singing Boogie Fever and I f***ed it up. I'm ashamed of myself. Take it to the limit. Come on, man.
On this episode of the MacGuffin Guild, we're joining Michael as he discovers a mysterious computer game that uses hypnosis to custom tailor the most terrifying experience imaginable in Brainscan. This 1994 horror sci-fi classic stars Edward Furlong, Frank Langella, T. Ryder Smith, Amy Hargeaves, Jamie Marsh, and David Hemblen, directed by John Flynn. We're going to talk about Edward Furlong's acting chops, the voice of Igor, Trickster's taste in music, and how many cigarettes are in a pack. We'll discuss Casper Van Deen, Pepper Sheds, Edward Furlong's Japanese album, The Trickster, and The Lord of Self-Pleasure. We'll also get into the works of George S. Clinton, Sweat and Milk, the 80s voyeur trope, Gorebeasts, the information super meat highway, and Justin's style of dress revealing a potential plot hole. I'm Pat Doherty, and as always, I'll be joined by my fellow MacGuffins, Justin Jones and Mike Antonio. Our theme song was written and performed by Jordan Vincent. It's interactive and state-of-the-art. It's not just a game, it's murder in Brainscan.
I raised you better than this.
And welcome to another episode of the MacGuffin Guild. My name is Pat Doherty. As you all know, a MacGuffin is a plot device used to drive along a story, and we here on the Guild like to use the film that we choose as a MacGuffin to drive along our conversations. And with me to have these luxurious conversations is Justin Jones, the definition of luxury. What's up, Justin?
I'm just here ready for some luxurious conversation. I came prepared.
I don't even know what that means.
Luxurious.
Yeah, I had all this real deep stuff I was gonna say, and you threw me a curveball with the luxurious, and I was like, my brain just went. And like, got scrambled.
I would definitely say that Justin has luxurious hair.
Well, hold on. What's the definition of luxurious?
I don't know if I do.
I think you do.
I appreciate that. I think I always
jealous.
tell people it's starting to look like the janitor from Harry Potter.
Oh, shit. Oh, here we go.
Yes.
So actually,
It's not healthy.
This kind of works. Luxurious. Extremely comfortable, elegant, or enjoyable.
Yeah.
Especially in a way that involves great expense.
Yeah, like a.
We've reached an all-time low that we're now like Googling what luxurious means.
Like a luxury
I
liner.
heard this word once.
Like a luxury liner, a cruise ship.
Giving self
Yeah.
and
Luxurious.
Self-gratification.
sensuous pleasure. So yeah, we're gonna have
that's
those kind of conversations.
When people think of the MacGuffin Guild, they think of sensual pleasures.
Self-pleasure.
Speaking of self-pleasure, I'm also here with Mike Antonio. Mike,
The
how's it
king
going?
of self-pleasure. Hey, how's everybody doing?
Anyway,
Not as good as you, apparently.
That's my official title. I'm the king of. Well, I wouldn't say I'm a lord. Lord of self-pleasure.
So who's the king? Who oversees you?
I don't know. He's out there somewhere, though.
Do you guys have meetups and stuff, like council meetings and stuff?
Nah, I'm only a lowly lord, so I'm not privy to those encounters.
The grand masters of self-gratification.
He just does what he's told. Anyway. All right, so
Shit.
today's...
By the way, I'm doing good, Pat.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Oh, my God.
Speaking of self-masturbatory, what's our movie today?
Yeah, there it is. All right. So after that conversation, I need myself a brain scan, which brings us to the film that we picked today, Brainscan, which came out in 1994, directed by John Flynn, and coming in at a running time of 1 hour and 36 minutes long. All right, let me give a quick spoiler-ravaged synopsis of the film for anyone listening who hasn't seen it and wants to have an idea of what we're talking about here. So here we go. Horror films and computer games fascinate teenager Michael, played by Edward Furlong, and a CD-ROM that portrays murder from the killer's point of view combines these interests. The first time Michael plays it, he kills a stranger and cuts off a foot, thinking the events take place in virtual reality. But the next day, Michael finds a foot in his refrigerator, and cyber ghoul Trickster, played by T. Ryder Smith, emerges from the program and forces him to keep playing and to continue committing violent crimes. But is he really committing these crimes? We'll head on over to Rotten Tomatoes here and we'll see what they have to say about it. So, do you fellas have any idea what this may have gotten on the tomato meter? Which is based on 15 critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes here.
I'm going to say it's probably pretty low.
Yeah.
Justin, you want to go first or you want me to go first?
I'll go second again for the same exact reason I went second last time.
Oh, did you see it? Did you see the score, Justin?
Yeah, I think so. But this time it was a different situation. I was looking at something else. Mm-hmm. I was looking up more information on T. Ryder Smith, and when I did, I was just kind of clicking through stuff, and one was the Rotten Tomatoes page, which like the first thing on there was this, and I was like, ugh.
Okay. All right, so Mike, why don't you guess?
I'm going to say a critical review or critical perception of this film is going to be very low. I'm going to say 44%.
Mm-hmm. Justin, do you even want to guess at all, or you just want me to reveal?
I think when I looked, I think it was like 25, but I would personally put this at a 13.
Yeah, 13% is where it's at.
No, I remembered it was 13.
God damn, 13%.
Yeah, I was actually, the only reason I remember that because I was really shocked that it was that low. Well, not like super shocked. But
yeah, I mean, come on, you can't be that shocked, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is pretty low, though. I mean,
yeah,
that's pretty low. So, audience score then. Mike?
All right, so I'm going to go, well, I would say I'd go higher, but I think I already went high, apparently. So, you know what? I'm going to say 44%.
Okay.
I want to say the same number.
Justin?
Well, if he's saying the same number, I'm going to say the same number, 13.
Audience score, 60%. 60.
Okay,
I think that
that's
checks out.
Significantly higher. That's actually... yeah, I was going to say, I actually was realistically going to say like in the 50 to 55 range.
Mm-hmm. Well, the contest is over,
but
Mike.
I went a little lower.
The contest is over.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I was saying I went a little lower because of how low the critic score was. I lowered my number some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I that makes sense, though, because I feel like the stuff that
that's fair.
liked the most was not because of any kind of technical skill or anything like that. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember the 90s.
Yeah, true.
So,
yeah.
I can see why a critic review would think this is a very throwaway film.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to mention the cast before I got to the range of reviews here. So Edward Furlong, of course, is plays Michael, the main character. Frank Langella, which I don't think we've had him yet on the podcast, right?
Nope.
I mean, as a guest.
No.
Yeah. He's still around.
Yeah.
You can probably,
yeah.
Amy Hargeaves.
Yeah.
As Kimberly. Jamie Marsh as Kyle. Mm-hmm. And T. Ryder Smith as the Trickster.
Ooh, I want to clarify one thing about that.
Okay.
It's not the Trickster.
Well, according to IMDb, it is.
It's he's actually just Trickster.
And it's with an X, I think. And on IMDb they have him as Trickster, Trickster.
I don't think it's with an X. I think he's credited like just regular spelling, Trickster.
Okay, I thought I saw somewhere that it was with an X.
Well,
because I was watching the bonus features, and I think it's the guy who wrote the script is like, it's Trickster, not the Trickster.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Well, no, that's good to know.
You know what I mean? Just saying.
Yeah, no, that's good. We're here to learn.
Well, I'm just saying, like, a lot of people say that. They refer to him as the Trickster, and that's technically not accurate.
Well, I think we should send IMDb an email.
Well, I think it's just a common misconception, because it's just easier to say that, he's the Trickster,
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned the guy who wrote the screenplay. Andrew Kevin Walker is
yes, sir.
Is that such individual?
Yes, I have a little bit to say about him too, because he's in the special features. There's a little interview with him.
Cool. So we'll get to that. So let's do a range here. So I'm sure you can guess based on the critic score. I'm dealing with more negatives than positives. So
which is good. I think we respond pretty well to negative criticism here.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Deborah knows it well.
She does. So we'll start with a big gun here. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times.
Ooh.
He says, Brainscan is interesting, not so much because of the plot, the murders, and the Trickster, as because of its portrait of a teenage boy living at one remove from the world. It's kind of weird wording there, but that's what he says.
Is that a positive?
No, he gave it a 2 out of 4.
That doesn't sound overly negative.
Yeah, but then again,
doesn't sound overly positive either.
We didn't read the whole review. That's just an excerpt. So
True. I don't know. He kind of, from that part, it's pretty accurate. I mean, it is more about, Edward Furlong's character as a teenage boy.
Yeah.
But that's part of what I want to talk about later. So.
Okay. Mike Massey from Gone with the Twins. Something is missing.
Wait, we had him last week.
We have him a lot. Mike says, something is missing. Perhaps it's the sparseness of edgy scares or the infrequency of gore or the conclusion, which just doesn't know what it wants to be. Let's go with another staple in our range of reviews here. David Nusser from Real Film Reviews.
I thought you were going to say Deborah.
No, not Deborah. Watch, I bet she would love this movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, David Nusser says, the director delivers a sluggish narrative that's been peppered with a whole host of uninteresting and flat-out tedious elements.
God, I just don't agree with that at all.
Henry Stewart from Brooklyn Magazine says, the hero, Michael, says horror is just an escape, but the movie doesn't agree with him, pinning violence and its moral responsibility on him when all he wants to do is watch. It's interesting.
Yeah, there was an interesting... it seemed like they were trying to pull the antagonist were anti-horror movies and the protagonist were pro-horror movie. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like that whole censorship battle thing. But I felt like the lines weren't clearly drawn. And, like, I felt like kind of through half the movie you didn't know what the point... Like, if they were trying to be pro or...
Yeah.
Or whose side you're rooting for a minute. But actually, that's one thing I actually liked about it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel like, at that point, it didn't feel like an agenda. It just felt like a topic they were using.
Yeah.
And it was kind of
just
showing both sides.
Let you form your own like interpretation
of that. Were they perhaps using horror movies as a MacGuffin? There's fucking MacGuffins everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah, I don't know. What's that mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I've never really been clear on that.
A MacGuffin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it means.
Are you guys serious?
No, I'm joking.
Jeez, scared me.
But what is it again?
Just I mean, let's pretend we didn't know. Like,
yeah, Pat, why don't you give us the definition?
Oh God, I don't even know. Anyway,
Google kids.
So one more negative, and then I want to get to some positives.
Oh my God, please, yes.
Daniel Barnes from Dare Daniel says, Brainscan offers a grab bag of intriguing ideas, but the pieces never fit together. Even without the clumsy execution, though, no film could surmount Furlong's complete lack of charisma, energy, talent, and screen presence.
Oh, fuck this guy. Sorry. This is my Deborah. What's his name?
Daniel.
Daniel and Deborah? Oh, shit.
Oh, fuck you, dude. I totally disagree with the Edward Furlong thing. I'm not saying he's like goddamn like Oscar-worthy performance in this, but I think he's fine.
I want to talk about that.
I think fine is a good descriptor.
I wouldn't say, like I said, I wouldn't say he's, and I'm going to talk about that too because it's something.
Yeah.
Okay. In the interview with T. Ryder Smith talks about Edward Furlong.
I think John Flynn, the director, would have a little something to say about that as well.
Okay.
So we can bring our players to the table and see where this takes us. I'll bring John Flynn, and you bring what's his name?
Yeah, because
T. Ryder.
T. Ryder
Yeah.
Smith. Yeah, because I don't know what John Flynn said about it, but I know what T. Ryder Smith said about Edward Furlong.
I will tell you that momentarily. So we'll get back to that. We'll talk about Furlong here in a minute. I want
to talk about that. I think that review is very... Pat, like you with that other review, I think that's very unfair.
For anyone who did not listen to the Burn After Reading episode, that's what we're referring to. There was a review that I didn't take too well, but so you'll have to check that out if you're unsure what we're talking about right now. But anyway, to some positives, and by some I mean two.
Thank God. I don't care. I'll take one at this point.
Malcolm Johnson from Hartford Courant says, like Serial Mom and even Cops and Robertsons, Brainscan works with a true phenomenon, the total immersion of young minds in the most gruesome horror movies. At his high school, Furlong's loner Michael has one claim to fame and one source of friends, his horror club, banned by a blue-nose principal. So that's more of a summary.
Just a plot synopsis, yeah.
Here's things I liked about the movie. The movie.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see here.
Give us an actual positive review.
Okay, here I'll give you one positive review. You ready?
The only other one.
The only other one. This is Luke Y. Thompson from New Times. Cops out at the end, but fun until then.
Jeez.
5 stars.
That was a positive.
I mean, I can see that, and we'll discuss that when we get to that point.
So look, I'm just glancing at some audience reviews from some super reviewers, and they, not all of them, but some of them are referring to Trickster as the Trickster. So we got a little bit of a debate on our hands here.
Well, like I said, the writer called him Trickster, so...
Yeah. So let's see.
I think it's just people just took it and ran with it. I think because there's other characters in other things called the Trickster, so people just kind of associate. You know what I mean? Just kind of took that and ran with it.
So here we go.
But the original intent from the original script, he's called Trickster, and I believe he's credited as Trickster, not the Trickster. So
either way, I like to keep a positive spin on things. I think that's an awful name.
Well, it's like I said, it's been used in other things.
So your assessment, Justin, has nothing to do with the word "the," correct? It's just the name in general.
No, I would say you could put "the" or not put "the" in front of it, and I still wouldn't particularly care for it.
Yeah, it's not a very compelling character name.
The name "the" would probably be a better name. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if his name was "I am the," that would be pretty cool.
The.
Yeah. Well, I felt like...
Did you just stutter?
I did. That's my name.
I will say Alex R., a super reviewer, says, Brainscan has a very unique idea for a sci-fi horror film. This is an underrated horror film, and it deserves a better rep than it has received. Director John Flynn directs this film about a virtual reality-based video game called Brainscan, which places the player in the role of a killer. Though his film has some dated special effects, Brainscan's strengths lie within the acting and good plot. The concept of the film is good, and it's got some good ideas for an effective horror film, and it makes Brainscan a worthy film to watch. So, Mike, I figured you'd enjoy that review.
That is very spot on to my feelings toward this movie. Absolutely.
You guys should start a fan club. Sounds like you already got a president and vice president.
No, a president and a lord.
Yeah, Lord. This guy is he's on the same page as I am with this film.
Yeah.
Very, very close to my feelings. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's do this then, Mike. This was your selection.
Sir, yes, sir.
So I would like to know a little history with this film, how it ended up here on the MacGuffin Guild.
Okay. This is one of those movies, not one that I saw on TV as a little kid, because this one came out in my teen years. You said 94, so I was like 15 when this came out. I may have seen it when I was 15, maybe 16. I may have been 16 by the point I saw it, because I saw it on home video. Okay. But I remember, of course, I'm to this day, I'm really into horror, but, you know, in my teen years, that was, like, my jam. That was all I was consuming was, like, horror stuff. So I remember seeing the trailer for this and being like, oh, that looks pretty cool. And it's got Edward Furlong. He was in T2. That should be good. So as soon as it came out on video, I immediately rented it. And I liked it quite a bit. It was one of those movies, like, I felt like not a lot of people were talking about it. Well, I didn't feel like that. That was the case. Not many people, not a lot of people I knew had seen it. There was one person that we went to school with, Pat. I won't say her name on air. I mean, it's not like it's anything bad, but she was a fan of this movie too. So it was like we were the only two people that like talked about this movie.
I like the fact that you felt the need to protect her identity because she liked this movie.
Well,
that's not giving it. That's not giving it.
Tells us everything we need to know.
Yeah.
Well, Pat, I don't know if you're friends with her now. I forget what her. She had a different last name.
Trickster.
Jenny. It's like
Jenny Trickster
now.
Jenny Trickster. What is it, Mike?
Jenny the Trickster.
It's Jenny now. Oh, it's Jen. That was her name. Remember her?
I know her.
Blonde. She was in our grade.
I don't know her.
Was she in our grade or was she a grade behind us?
No, she was in our grade. Yeah. Like, I wasn't like... She wasn't like in my circle of friends, but whenever... Like, we did speak. For some reason, we had that in common. It was weird. But anyway.
So now your fan club has a treasurer.
Yeah, see? But anyway, so, like, I was a early, like, champion of this film when I saw it on home video. I was like, I like this movie quite a bit. It's, like, just one of those movies where it was, like, a surprise find for me. Because there were, like, again, nobody was really talking about it, but... It, you know, it's very under the radar. But from that moment on, like, and to this day, I've just been a fan of it. I just enjoy it. I would never say it's one of my top films. Like, no way. But I definitely like it.
Yeah, well, it's not one of Edward Furlong's top films either. But anyway, Justin, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I thought there was a story behind that.
No. Well, kind of. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Mr. Furlong a lot. It's funny because I have 3 pages of notes, and scattered throughout those notes are things having to do with Edward Furlong. So I feel like this is going to be a reoccurring theme that we keep coming back to through the course of the episode.
I have a page of notes and nothing about Eddie Furlong.
Oh yeah,
I can briefly tell you my story about meeting him at some point.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Hang on to that for a minute. Let me get
once we get on the subject. Yeah.
So Justin, your history with this film.
I remember when it came out, and I don't think I've ever seen it before, us watching it, because I was like, oh, it's one I've been wanting to watch, and I've never seen it. And then we sat down to watch it, and as I started watching the beginning, I'm like, I swear I've seen this before. Because, like, the whole Igor, his, voice dialer and all that stuff seemed very familiar. And so I may or may not have seen this, but as far as I remember, this was my first time seeing it. So...
Cool.
I'm glad that Mike likes it because I feel like this movie deserves to be loved. I don't particularly love it, but I definitely feel like it deserves more love than I'm giving it. Yeah. So I'll just say that much. But that's pretty much my history on that.
Well, I do not recall the first time I saw this. I'm sure, Mike, that it probably involved you. If I were to bet money.
I believe it did. I'm pretty sure that I made you watch it because, again, I was already a fan of it when we were teenagers, so I probably was like, oh, check out this movie.
I mean, we watched a shit ton of movies together in that phase of our lives, so I'm guessing that's where I would have seen it.
I can pretty much guarantee that's how you were introduced.
So
I feel like if I would have watched this when it came out, I would have liked it more. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like 15, 16-year-old me would have liked this way more.
I agree with you, Justin. I think so.
And I think that's the problem, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I think what we're going to encounter here, if you go back to our Wraith episode, I did not have that early exposure to that film, and I think it affected my interpretation of it and my enjoyment of it as an adult because it wasn't rooted in anything, and it's
Cyborg as well.
Yeah.
So I think, Justin, you're gonna feel those feelings on this one, whereas there are things about this that I would say I'm not a fan of. But it was wild watching it again because I haven't seen it since, God, probably, I don't even know, probably before my 20s. I don't even know.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably been like 25 years or so since you've seen it.
Maybe I saw it in my early to mid-20s, but I wouldn't have seen it any later than that. And I mean, we're 40 now, 40 plus, so I would like to just add that I'm not the plus. I'm just the 40.
Fuck you.
So anyway, it was funny because I think as I watched it in preparation for the podcast, it definitely like brought back memories from the days of my youth watching it.
Yeah.
Well, I got a sense of nostalgia from it, like really good vibes, and it brought back a lot of good feelings that I remember. You know, because like the soundtrack alone, I really liked that.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it was like even like The Crow. It was that era of like early to mid 90s, because I think it was right around 94, 95 where I just stopped liking music from the 90s. You know what I mean? I think it just became like grunge. Yeah, grunge got so big that like it was like all these like second wave of grunge bands, and then and Mike, you could probably speak more to like the hip hop and all that stuff.
I always think about this to myself, like the early to mid 90s hip hop is like my jam. Like that's my heyday.
Yeah.
And you know, later I got into like rock and alternative, and it seems, and I totally agree with you, Justin, it seems like that music was on a parallel course with hip hop, you know. So yeah, totally.
I feel like there's trends in music in general where if you look over the ages, there's like I feel like a lot of the 70s, there was like a lot of really good music like across the board. And I feel like late 80s into the early to mid 90s, I feel like there was a hump of like just like everybody was along for the ride, like all different various types. Even though I'm not like into pop music and stuff, but what was that Roxette song that was real famous in the early 90s?
Shit. Yeah,
She's Got the Look or something. Got the look. Dude, I was in Jerry's Artorama like a couple years ago, and that came on. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I remember this song, and I got all like pumped, and I was like, I'm not even into that type of music, and I was like, even the pop music was like more rocking then.
It's like that, there's that meme, I forget what do you know what I'm talking about?
It was the one that I think I just saw. It was like, they're playing my jam on the radio,
what, radio station,
and, like,
then it's like
my jam at the bar, and it's like, oh, they're like 25 years later, oh, they're playing my jam at the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the grocery store music is like what we like now. Not really, because I listen to it every goddamn day. I just gave away my job, but
so I will say this: you guys mentioned the soundtrack. I want to talk about the score. The score to this film is awesome. And the guy who wrote it is George S. Clinton. Are you guys familiar with him?
I am. I've seen his name pop up in other films.
Do you know what else he wrote? What other big themes?
He's not P-Funk George Clinton, is he?
No, it's not him.
That's why he uses the S as his middle initial. Yeah, I used to think that myself. I was like, is that he did musicals or film scores? But no, it's a different guy. Pat, no, not offhand. I do not know what else he's done.
So I'll tell you, one of the biggest...
When you tell me, I'll be like, oh, yeah.
Well, of course you will. One of the biggest, most memorable things, and he wrote it, is the Mortal Kombat theme. I
didn't know that
whole thing.
Dude, the Murder Club and I were just talking about that, because we were talking about the new Mortal Kombat movie coming out, and like it wasn't like 2 minutes into the conversation, it just went right to that the theme to that, and like, oh man, that song is just like
it's still
like, get you pumped.
Yeah, it still stands on its own. That was such an awesome,
iconic.
Yeah, totally. But he did that. He also did all the music for the Austin Powers score.
Oh.
Yeah, the score was good. I will give you that. Sarah pointed out there was a couple times where they were reusing parts of the score a little too much, which I don't even know if I would have noticed if she didn't point it out. Yeah. But
yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, that's
it does get a little repetitious.
But it was good.
Here's what I want to say. Yeah, there are times they definitely overused it at some points, but that main theme that they use, I don't know if
amazing.
I don't know. Yeah, it's really good, and I don't know if it reminds me of something or if it was locked in the back of my head, and it just reminded me of itself. But I just completely forgot about it all these years later. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest with you, I kept thinking to myself that theme kind of reminded me of, like, Twin Peaks, but I have to go back and listen to the Twin Peaks theme. I can't remember how that goes.
Also early 90s.
Yeah. I kind of know what you're saying, Pat. There is a like a in music terms a thematic connection between those two.
But
I can hear it in my head.
But that main theme I did think was really powerful and really catchy and really strong, especially considering this style of film. Like, I thought that theme itself, when I first heard it upon this viewing, it unlocked a bunch of memories that I haven't had since, 15, 20 years ago when I watched this film last. But I really enjoyed that. But anyway, Justin, you were saying about the soundtrack.
Yeah, I really like the soundtrack because, I'm not a big Rob Zombie fan, but that White Zombie album, La Sexorcisto Devil Music Volume 1 or something, for a long time was like one of my favorite albums of all time. Like, I'll still to this day, every once in a while, just throw it on. And it's amazing. And I think it's amazing, like, despite Rob Zombie, not because of him, I think. Because I think just the instruments in it. I mean, he was a part of that, what made it good, but I don't think it was just him.
But there's a lot of other good music.
Yeah, they played a song off the Butthole Surfers album that I listened to probably once a week on average. Like, it's been like in the last year, I've been listening to it a lot. And when it came up instantly, like the first couple notes, I was like, Butthole Surfers. It's from Independent Worms Saloon, which is a great album.
That's an underrated band.
Yeah. Oh,
much
yeah.
like
Especially that album's killer. And I think Mudhoney was on there. A few others.
I think Mudhoney was on every soundtrack in the early 90s.
Yeah. That's why I think it was cool that they had a really good score and a good soundtrack, especially because it seemed like the music was a big factor in a lot of this. Because they had all the Aerosmith posters on the walls, and even when they're playing music, like the neighbors are playing music, and he's like, "Oh, how about this?" And he turns up some, like, whatever the hell he's listening to that's rocking.
Yeah.
So,
well, I have to bring up one of the songs that I love from this movie, which I'm sure you guys are well aware of.
And Trickster is also a fan.
You know what I love about it is how...
That's probably why I showed you this movie originally.
Yeah, maybe. How Trickster is looking through all his CDs, and he's like, "You got anything good to listen to?" And then he pulls out his own CD, and he says, "Never leave home without it," and he puts it in, and it's Primus. But what's funny about
welcome to this world.
Yeah, welcome to this world. But what's funny is how he says straight from the top of the charts, and I'm like, yeah, right. What charts are you looking at? But no,
but that's great.
I love me some Primus.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that song, by the way, that Primus song. But what I thought was funny is, I don't know if it's because we have listened to so much Primus. You alone probably listen to more than most normal people, but. Like, I felt like the point they were trying to make is this music is so weird compared to everything else. Like, oh, I'm from another dimension. I'm so weird. This is the music we listen to. And because we all just listen to Primus, like, it's just fucking Primus,
It's just a typical Friday night.
Like, they have videos on the MTV. They're not that, it's not that weird.
But it was, they did pick a goofy portion of the song where he's like, prancing around. And then right as the song starts to kick in, that's when they cut it off. And I'm like, no!
They cut it off.
Kicking in.
And I think that, Pat, you hit the nail on the head, because it's one of the, obviously Primus is a little, their music is a little out there for the average person to begin with, but that song in particular and that portion of the song is just really out there.
Yeah.
Like, the average person wouldn't even know who that is or what song that is.
They would think
they would just hear this weird-ass song.
Yeah, they would probably think the movie production made up a weird-sounding song just to show how goofy Trickster is.
Right. Right. Much like the film that they're watching in the horror club, Death.
Oh, yeah, Death.
Part 2.
So I want to do this real quick before we... Oh, Justin, were you done your soundtrack points? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think who else was on there, but it was pretty much the point.
I actually have
the.
the soundtrack.
Do you really?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a physical CD of it.
Jeez.
I bought it used.
That's great.
And it has Rob Zombie and Butthole Surfers and Primus and all them on it?
Yeah.
White Zombie.
Or White Zombie, I'm sorry. Do you have it close to you?
Yeah, soundtrack has... No, it's upstairs. Or no, it's probably in my basement. Mudhoney, White Zombie, Old. It's spelled O-L-D, all capital letters. I don't know what that is. Dandelion, Primus, Tad, Pitch Shifter, and the Butthole Surfers.
Nice. Pretty cool.
So, yeah.
Or as Casey Kasem would say, the BH Surfers.
Surfers. Oh, my God.
Yeah, he wouldn't say it.
Okay, so I want to talk about some of the taglines for this film. And we have 5 of them here.
Jeez.
All right. So let's rattle them off here, and you guys give me your opinions, which one you like and don't like, and we'll go from there.
I'm going to rate them 1 to 5.
Yeah, there we go. First one, goodbye reality, welcome virtual reality.
That's very 90s.
Sounds like, it sounds like
Virtuosity.
Lawnmower Man.
Yeah,
Lawnmower
Man, Virtuosity, one of those type of movies.
Yeah, or like a promotion for like an arcade in the mall or something.
Yeah.
All right, second one. It's interactive and state-of-the-art. It's not just a game, it's murder.
Man, that's
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like that one.
that one's like really like just kind of powerful.
Yeah. It kind of starts off like kind of mundane and then ends in murder.
It's murder. Yeah, it's like a nice slow build and then murder.
Yeah.
Murder most foul.
This one, I feel like this one was used the most. I think it's on like the main box cover that you see when you see Trickster's face with, kind of like the shadow on his face and the red around him.
Oh, yeah.
This one just says, wanna play? I dare you.
Yes. Yeah.
I like this one. This is kind of like, I don't know, typical week 9 to 5 for me. It just simply goes, an interactive trip to hell.
I like that one.
Yeah.
And then this one, game over. You lose.
I've seen that tagline too, yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of generic.
So, anyway.
13524.
3524?
13524, that's my rankings.
13524. So you like goodbye reality, welcome virtual reality? That's your number one?
No,
I think actually I got that wrong. I think it's 31524.
Oh, yeah. Okay. 1 would make sense. Which is, it's interactive and state-of-the-art. It's not just a game. It's murder.
Yeah.
That's your number one?
That's my number one. And then what was it, like the 4th one or whatever is my second.
An interactive trip to hell?
Yeah, that's my second one, yeah. After that,
I like that one.
I honestly don't give a shit about the other 3. But those two are good. I like those 2.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Edward Furlong. Let's just get right into his story.
Okay.
You know what this movie made me question? It made me question how Edward got into acting. And I don't mean that to be rude.
I knew you were being serious, but it was funny to me.
Well, isn't that didn't James Cameron just like see him on the street and was like, I want that kid to be in T2?
Well, based on what I heard, it wasn't Cameron. He was discovered by casting director Molly Flynn, M-A-L-I, Finn.
Okay.
Who came across him at the Boys Club of Pasadena when looking to cast the role of John Connor.
Okay.
According to IMDb, Finn instantly recognized his ability and suggested him for the part, feeling that he could hold his own playing opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton.
Okay. He's great in that movie. I mean...
Yeah, listen, watching Terminator 2, I've never been taken out of that film by Edward Furlong's performance. However, in this film, watching it now as a 40-year-old, there were plenty of times where I was questioning his chops.
Yeah, there's times where he's good in this, and there's times where he's like, ugh. I think it's a mixed bag in this film with him. For sure.
Yeah. I investigated because I wanted to see, okay, did Edward Furlong have a history in stage and then working his way up into small parts?
No,
and
I don't
how
think
did
so.
this happen?
As far
it apparently didn't happen that way.
he wasn't an actor.
His first role was Terminator 2, to my knowledge, which is pretty freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
What a break.
Yeah.
But so director John Flynn, who directed Brainscan, did not get along with Edward Furlong during filming. Now, this is
Interesting.
Via IMDb.
Okay.
He later recalled, quote, Eddie Furlong was a 15-year-old kid who couldn't act. You had to slap him awake every morning. I don't want to get into knocking people, but I was not a big Eddie Furlong fan.
Okay.
That comes from John Flynn.
I will do the polar opposite, the T. Ryder Smith perspective, who, again, he played Trickster. He had the complete opposite feeling toward him.
The Trickster.
Yeah. He he didn't really say anything about Edward Furlong's acting chops, but he had nothing but nice things to say about Edward Furlong as a person. He said between takes, the two of them just had a blast. They kept their off-screen relationship very much playful, like their on-screen characters. He said he was a delight to work with. There's a little behind the scenes. He's telling a story, and they actually show the little clip of it where Edward Furlong had just gotten his license, or I'm sorry, he had just gotten his first car. So he's driving to the set in his car, and Trickster's in the passenger seat in full makeup. They're driving to the set together. Funny little video clip. They show it in the special features when they're interviewing T. Ryder Smith. And T. Ryder Smith says, at that time, Edward Furlong was dealing with a lot of personal stuff, which, I mean, he's obviously dealt with stuff his whole life with his substance abuse, but I don't know what was going on at the time of him being 15 years old. I don't know what, the situation. And T. Ryder Smith was like, I don't want to get into that, but you can't talk about him without kind of bringing up his problems. But he said, no, he absolutely loved working with him. And Edward Furlong was super enthusiastic and really was into it and wanted to do it. He apparently, the first time he saw Trickster in full makeup was on set when they were filming, their first scene together. Oh, yeah. Trickster is turned away from him, and he crouched down, and he stands up and turns to Edward Furlong, and that literally is the first time he saw him like that. And they did the take, and then afterwards, he said Edward Furlong went up to him. He's poking at his face and saying "Oh, it's so awesome!" Poking at the makeup. I mean, this is so awesome. Yeah. He said Edward Furlong wanted to be Trickster. He thought that character was really cool. So he clearly was having a good time, regardless of his acting chops in this particular film. And that's the thing with Edward Furlong. There are movies where he is really good. Terminator 2 is fine. He's fine. American History X, he's great.
Yeah.
He had roles where he actually was acting, despite the fact that he wasn't a traditional actor, brought up in that world. But anyway, man, I went on for a long time. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. You love Eddie Furlong. It's fine.
Well, and then
he's dreamy.
Here we go. I will do a little aside to that. I met him once at a convention, Monster Mania in New Jersey. My wife and I, Angel, we went to Monster Mania one year. I don't know how many years ago, 5-6 years ago maybe, and he was there. Actually, I forget her name, the actress from Freddy vs. Jason. She's the main girl in that movie.
Monica Keena?
Yes, Monica Keena. That is correct. She was also there at the next table over, and they were dating at the time. So I guess that's why they were both there. But anyway, so we went up and got his autograph and got a picture with him and everything. And man, he just seemed so miserable. He seemed like he didn't want to be there. He barely spoke. He was just kind of "Hey, nice to meet you. Yeah, let's get a picture." And I don't know. He's a human being like everybody else. I don't want to poo-poo on people who are, meeting people. He could have been having a bad day or whatever. Who knows? It was just kind of disappointing. I don't know.
Maybe he was just disappointed to talk to you.
Maybe he was. Maybe he was.
I didn't want to say it.
I mean, we were all thinking it. I just want to get it out there.
I wouldn't blame him.
Yeah, if you don't mind, while we're on the topic of Edward Furlong, why don't I just rattle off some of the things that I have on my notes here?
Yeah.
A little pre-Pats points, if you guys are cool with that.
Can I slide something in real quick before
sure.
you do that?
Please do.
I just wanted to say the exact opposite of that experience is when I saw Casper Van Deen.
Me too.
At Monster Mania.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anyone have more fun doing anything in their life than Casper Van Deen being a guest at Monster Mania. Dude, he looked like a kid in a candy shop.
It was amazing.
Wow.
He was like so full of energy. I felt like he was like engaged with everyone, and
Dude, he was occasionally like standing up and yelling his lines from I almost said Super Troopers, from Starship Troopers. Like his, the military lines from the movie and stuff, like, yelling like a drill sergeant type of deal. Yeah. He had so much fun.
My point being, Casper Van Deen should have played this part in this movie. That's what I was getting around. No, I'm just kidding. No. I thought it was funny, Mike's experience with him, and I just kept thinking of Casper Van Deen.
Yeah, no, that's funny. It is. It's the polar opposite.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just rattle off some pre-points here. So Furlong, some of his other roles: Terminator 2, obviously Pet Sematary 2, American Heart, Pecker, John Waters film.
I've never seen a single John Waters film, and people get pissed at me for that.
Yeah.
Dude, same here, and I'm actually ashamed of myself for not seeing
I don't
one.
know if I feel like those would be for me or not. Like, I don't know. Maybe I should just watch one and find out. But
I definitely feel like you should watch at least one.
Yeah.
You know?
Justin, you said you haven't either?
Yeah. It seems like something maybe right in my pepper shed.
Your grape shack.
Your grape shack.
A grape shack. I forgot.
You say pepper shed.
Pepper shack. No, yeah, Justin, I'm actually very surprised. Like, that seems like something, maybe not all of his films, but I would have thought you would have at least seen a few.
Yeah, I probably should. What's going to happen is I'll probably, a month from now, I'm going to watch one and then just take a week off of work and watch all of them.
Yeah. All right, so American History X, which you had mentioned, Detroit Rock City.
Oh, that's
Animal
another
Factory,
good one.
which I believe Animal Factory was a Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi directed film, yep.
Directed that. And The Crow, Wicked Prayer.
Oh, boy. That's the fourth one.
Yeah.
The funny part about that movie, and I say this to everyone, that movie is ungodly bad, but Edward Furlong is not the problem with that movie. So that should tell you everything. That should tell you everything you need to know about that movie.
Does he play on the cover? He's in the makeup.
Yeah, he's the Crow in that film.
Wow. What's his character? He's not playing the character of Eric Draven, is he?
No, every one of the films, it's not Eric Draven. Oh. It's always a different person. Yeah.
So his Crow's real name was Casper Van Deen. All right. Is that what you guys were setting up?
Yes.
You picked up on that pretty quick. You ruined our big long joke we were setting up.
All right. So Edward Furlong never knew his father, apparently, in real life.
Interesting.
He hit the scene pretty hard with T2 being his breakthrough role, or breakout role, whatever they call it.
Where do you go from there, though? Really?
Yeah, exactly. MTV Movie Award winner for Best Breakthrough Role and Saturn Award winner for Best Young Actor for Terminator 2. He was in the music videos for Living on the Edge, Aerosmith, as well as Metallica's The Unnamed Feeling, which I'm not familiar with that.
No.
I'm sure I know the song, but I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
His career declined drastically after into the 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys know this? I thought this was really interesting. Edward Furlong released an album in Japan in October 1992 called Hold On Tight. Did you guys know that?
No, I was unaware.
Which included a cover a cover of The Doors' People Are Strange, among other tracks. I'm not sure what other covers or if there's original music.
What's he doing in that? Is he singing?
He's apparently, yeah.
I would assume
so get
probably.
This, he is still extremely popular with Japanese girls today.
Wow.
His debut song, His debut song, Hold On Tight, even beat Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You to #1 on the Japanese charts.
Holy shit.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow. That's some David Hasselhoff level shit.
Yeah.
Talk about discovery.
If I'm able to track down some of the stuff, I'll plug it in right here in the episode so we can play a little bit for the guild listeners.
That's crazy. That's a like a news flash for me.
Yeah, I had no idea. That's awesome, though. I'm good for him.
Yeah, apparently he smokes up to 60 cigarettes a day.
Ooh, God.
No way. That's crazy.
God damn.
That's like Sting having tantric sex for
I
like
know.
78 hours a day. You know,
What's that?
Stupid.
Would that be like 3 packs? What's there, 20 to a pack? Is that what there is for
I don't
cigarettes?
even know
Yeah.
what's in a pack. Is it 20?
That's like.
Is
I'm
it
just
20 or is it some
estimating.
odd number? Is it like a baker's
It's 20.
dozen?
Yeah, it's 20.
Okay.
That's
So
why that
that's-
movie 200 Cigarettes is a carton of cigarettes.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
All right.
he smokes.
See, I
10
learned
packs
something.
of 20.
That is 3 packs of cigarettes a day. That's insane if true. That's
I
insane.
could see that. Yeah,
That's what your
Holy
dad was
shit.
smoking at his height of smoking, wasn't it, Pat?
probably.
I remember years ago talking about it, like when he was smoking, like
That's-
at his height. I was like, it was something where it just blew me out of the water. I was like, holy shit.
No.
That's a lot.
Let's see. In 2012, his access to his 6-year-old son was restricted after it was alleged in court that the child had tested positive for cocaine after spending time with Furlong. Allegedly.
What?
Damn.
That's allegedly. We are not putting anything on the record here. I'm just reading off information nuggets that I have gathered.
Dude, they get you coming and going. Because then if you don't get cocaine with your kid, then they get you for neglect. You can't win.
On October 5th, 2012, apparently 2012 was a pretty bum year for him. October 2012, he publicly asked fans for financial donations so he could afford a liver transplant.
Oof.
Jeez.
In February 2015, he admitted he cannot get insurance for film work. Oh, this guy. His salary. This is interesting.
It's because of his substance abuse.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
He's a risk.
So his salary for Terminator 2. Do you guys know what he made for Terminator 2?
$200,000.
No.
8.6 million.
No. Jesus.
No, I don't think it was
No,
millions.
his salary apparently for Terminator 2 was $30,000.
Yeah.
And then do you know what his salary was for Brainscan?
$2 million.
About the same.
No. $350,000.
Okay.
Wow.
So, moving on up.
What did they pay Frank Langella? That's what I'm curious about.
You know, I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
That man played Dracula for crying
Did
out
he make more in this
do not
film
know.
or in Masters of the Universe?
loud. Yeah. He did that for his kids, apparently.
Oh,
Yeah. Skeletor,
Yeah,
yeah.
because they were like He-Man fans, and they're like, oh, and I think someone came to him with the thing. He's like, and his kids were like, yeah, be Skeletor. And he's like, all right, I'm Skeletor.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, I appreciated it. So he did it for his children and for me.
Yeah, me too. I thought he was a good Skeletor.
He's
A lot
not.
of people give him
awesome.
shit for that.
Yeah, it was
No,
awesome.
he's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually arguably one of the best and most accurate parts of that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not wrong. But we're not here to talk about Masters of the Universe.
I think we found my fan club.
No, we're not. So, Mike, how about this?
I'm listening.
So, we may have talked about it before, but Mike's online persona is Gorebeast.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up.
Hey,
Remember Gorebeasts?
Yeah, it's trash.
Trash.
yeah.
Exactly.
Sarah and I looked at each other and we rewound it. We're like, did he just say what we thought he said?
Yeah, I definitely took note of that.
Did you know that since you picked the name, or like how did,
No.
did it
No.
startle you when you heard it?
Not this time, because I have watched it since becoming Gorebeast.
Since the transformation.
Yes, that is something I picked up on one of my viewings. And I was like, holy shit! Edward Furlong called me trash.
And then begged for a liver transplant. I That's awful.
That is pretty bad.
I instantly, my heart just seized up like right after I made that joke.
Oh my God. Jeez. All right, so let's
I
talk
hope he's
about
okay.
his character, Michael. What a creepy voyeur he was.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
I will say this,
that was
though.
something.
That's a trope you saw in a lot of, like, 80s, and it kind of
Yes.
wasn't as popular in the 90s, but it was still there, obviously. But 80s, man, that was a big trope. I will say this, though. At least in this film, it was reciprocal.
Yeah.
She was doing the same thing, and she knew he was doing it, and was, for lack of a better
She was
way,
giving him a show.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. For lack of a better way of saying it, she was giving him a show. Exactly. And he later finds out that she was also watching him. While still not really justifying it, at least it was reciprocal.
I'm going to go ahead and justify it.
So how about that slobbery orgasm / seizure that he has in the chair, which is just weird. There's a lot of sweat and milk.
A lot of sweat, yes. He's always sweaty in this film, yeah.
Sweaty and drinking
dripping
milk.
and dripping milk down his neck.
Oh my God, it's just weird. And then there's that, the first time he puts the game in and the lights kick on and he like has this weird seizure orgasm thing. It's a little odd.
Well, I think it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like this intense feeling that this game gives him. So he's like, oh, holy shit, I gotta play this game. Like, that's before he plays the game. That's when he calls the number, and somehow, I don't know how the fuck that happens. All of a sudden, it like hacks into his brain.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. Can we get in? Can we get into the story a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. For those at home who have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, so definitely spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, pause it right now. Go watch the movie, come back. Because we're gonna get into it here because there's elements to the film I want to ask you guys about as far as so he calls the number, he has that moment, which is just weird, right? He has that orgasm flashy light seizure moment. Then he gets the first disc in the mail shortly thereafter, correct?
He's like, I didn't order this.
But he puts it in, and then he plays disc 1. So the next day, then he starts to feel off, like something's not right. He comes home. There's a crime scene. He catches a news report. He's clearly starting to recognize that something is off. Maybe I'm confusing a few details, but ultimately he starts to catch on. I guess when he sees that TV report is when he's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, he goes to the next door neighbor girl's house and he's talking to the parents like, "Hey, can I talk to Kimberly is her name?" And he's waiting for her to come downstairs, and the mom turns on the TV and there's a news article about, or a news report about the murder, and he like freaks out.
Okay.
And he goes back to his house and opens his freezer and finds the foot.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so he finds the foot. Okay, so that's the first one. Second one, then, I just want to summarize these really quickly. And again, this is like I'm giving the listeners who have not seen the movie a final chance before we spoil anything. You might want to turn away at this point if you haven't watched the movie because we're going to spoil things. So that's the first one. Then the second one is he plays disc 2 and he wakes up and in the freezer he sees his friend's necklace.
right.
Correct?
He records himself with a video camera.
Yeah, that's right. He introduces himself
and he
then
sees himself
records.
get up and walk away, and he's like, "What? I never did that." And then he finds out that he goes to the freezer again and opens it up, and it's his best friend's necklace.
That's right. We missed a point. Trickster came back after the disc 1 and said, "You have to play part 2 because there was a witness."
Right.
So his friend...
And he's like, "Actually 2, but I'll never tell."
His friend Kyle was the witness. And his friend Kyle, the actor, Jamie Marsh, he was 27 years old when he played a teenager.
And the girl, she was older too. She was in her 20s as well. Like, maybe like 23, 24, something like that.
All right. So here's what I want to ask you guys then. We don't have to keep going through each step, but it turns out okay, this is where we're just going to reveal it because I want to talk about things. Is it okay for us to do this at this point, or should we wait?
Yeah, let's do it. Do the reveal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it turns out at the end of the film, and there's more to it. We'll get to some of the details of it, but ultimately, it was all in his head. It was all part of the game. None of these brutal murders that he was involved in happened.
Right. The whole process was all the game.
All the game. His friend was still alive. Everything was still good, back to normal. It was like a Wizard of Oz kind of thing.
Yeah.
So my question, though, at what point, so when he goes in on that first disc, is that when the game takes over and it's all interactive video games at that point? Like, where does reality cease and this altered reality pick up? It's at that moment, and then we're watching this altered reality throughout, correct? At no point he enters back into real world, correct?
No, I think the whole thing from that point on is all in the game. It's all in-game content.
I think it starts at the car crash.
When he's a kid?
It's all a dream. His mom never died in a car accident.
Justin's
I don't know.
bullshitting
Are you
right
serious?
now. No, he's not serious.
No, I'm not serious at all. No.
Which, by the way, I do want to point out that this is one of the things I want to talk about. That opening sequence, the opening credit sequence, with that theme music playing and showing the cuts between him as a little kid, like crawling along the street, the rainy street, and then him him now like dreaming and all sweaty again, and cutting back and forth. And then just slowly revealed that, like, his legs all effed up, and then it shows his mom's body laying there. That's pretty intense to open the movie with.
Yeah. I'd say.
I like that.
It was a little difficult.
I think it's very strong. I guess I would say it's a very strong opening.
Yeah, very strong.
Yeah, I thought the whole movie started out strong. Like, even like the first murder thing when he goes into the game.
Yeah.
I thought it was super cool. They had it set up kind of like a giallo.
Yeah.
Like, he had the black leather gloves. It showed him with the knife. And it felt like you're watching like an old, like, Dario Argento film or something like that. It looked like it was like drawing influence. They're like, oh, this is really cool.
It almost...
And then they kind of abandoned it quickly.
Yeah, it did. It went away from that.
They do it for the one, and I wish they would have kept going back to that giallo, like aesthetic type thing. Aesthetic. And they just don't.
That whole first, murder sequence kind of reminded me of like an old CD-ROM type of video game, which is what it is.
Like Night Trap.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up Night Trap,
which I've never played, but I've seen like kind of retrospective videos on it and stuff.
Yeah, and if you grew up in the 90s, you probably know. If you were a gamer in the early 90s, you know of Night Trap.
Yeah, you definitely, you're definitely aware of it, yeah.
So let me ask then, so what do you think, so the producers of this game, Brainscan, within the film, what do you think their intent of Trickster was? What was Trickster? Was he the devil? Was he a demon? Was he a vampire? Was he a crackhead? What the fuck was he?
Okay.
I think it was all the above.
Let me get into this then. The writer of the script, Andrew Kevin Walker, who is from Mechanicsburg, PA.
Ah, cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Right up the road.
Yes, it's not far, relatively.
Not far from us, but...
Relatively, yeah.
We're being broadcast all over the universe, so...
He said in his original script, the Trickster is not supposed to be like a physical being. He's actually supposed to be just like a voice, like a voice on the phone. He's supposed to be like a disembodied voice, basically, like an off-screen narrator of the game, kind of like he is in the murder sequence where he's like talking to Michael.
Oh, got it.
Again, where it starts off strong, I like that, where he's kind of guiding him through like a thing. Once I saw him, I do not like, let's say right now, I do not like the Trickster character. Like, that was one thing that turned me off from this movie. Like, he looks fucking weird. Like,
well, he's supposed to.
I don't know what the bad plastic surgery.
Yeah. Like, I was trying to figure out what the point, what they were going for with that. And it's maybe, I know it's just me, and I'm trying not to shit on it, but like, I just never understood what the hell they were trying to pull off with that.
Well, that was the thing.
He's like wearing your aunt's vest, and then like, he's got the crazy like rocker hair. And then it looks like he has bad plastic surgery. And I feel bad because that's why I started looking up T. Ryder Smith, because like this dude's fucking giving it his all.
I know.
And like really like he's 100% into it, just fucking like invested. And I'm like, and that's why I went to see other stuff he did. So anyway,
Well, all right. What happened was he went in and read for the part, and they were like, "Yeah, you're just kind of gonna be like doing like a voiceover," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm cool with that." I think he was like a stage actor. I believe he was doing like stage work, and and then they called him back, and they were like, "You know what? We're actually going to make you a character in the movie. We're going to have you." They were like, "Here's what they called him and said, hey, are you allergic to makeup?" And he was like, "No." And they were like,
We're gonna fuck you up.
"Cool, because we're going to like actually put you in the makeup, and we're going to or put you in the film and put you in makeup and all this stuff." And he was like, "Oh, cool." I mean...
have you ever wanted to be a hair metal rocker in hospice?
He was talking about it. Initially, the costume designers were putting him in all like this latex stuff, like latex vests and stuff. And they were, trying all this stuff on, and they brought him back to the director, and the director was like, no. I want rock and roll, not S&M.
Yeah. Well, he should have stuck with S&M.
Anyway, I don't have a problem with it, and I think that's because I'm so used to seeing it, like it doesn't bother me.
He has become, the look of that character has become iconic to a point. I mean, obviously, it's a little more...
it's dated.
What's the word? Cult
It's definitely
status.
a dated look.
Well, yeah, very dated, but even just in the genre, it's that character of Trickster has become very...
Sure.
A cult status. You can, if you mention Brainscan, you picture that character.
Absolutely.
You know exactly who.
Well, the initial intent was to like make him a franchise character, which I'm glad they didn't. Because this movie, how can you sequelize this? You know what I mean? Like, where are they going to go from that point? The way this film ends.
Oh, I honestly think they could, because it's a game, so it's like you still have the Trickster character going to a whole nother kid situation.
It with the principal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
or
he was
the
sitting in the
principal,
chair. I mean, they left it open for a sequel for sure.
I mean, what else are you going to do, really? Because you already know, like, it's not real, so somebody else is going to play the game, and it's not real. So it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you can make it real. Like, maybe the second one, like, something goes wrong and it becomes real or something.
Yeah,
or
like it's like Jumanji or some shit. Yeah, they should have Trickster just like pop out in Jumanji and start stabbing kids.
It'd be kind of like
they should have a crossover.
It'd be kind of like a New Nightmare kind of deal where, like, where
Brainscan versus Jumanji,
where it would be like, the first film was a film, and now the second movie is the real version. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like New Nightmare was. But anyway, T. Ryder Smith, who played Trickster, he said he threw out his back days before the scene where he's dancing and prancing around. So he was in extreme pain, but he didn't want to tell them, so he just pushed through it. Yeah. And he's like, you've seen the scene. He's all danced around. He grabs that ceiling beam and like swings and all this stuff.
Trooper.
He was in absolute agony, basically, but he still did it.
What's I'm saying? He seemed like a straight up like I'm gonna if I'm gonna do it, I'm doing 100%. That's why I felt bad I didn't particularly like the character, because I felt like the actor behind the character was like 200% just like in this thing, and I was like, oh man, this guy's really...
I don't think they knew fully what to do with that character, and I think that, again, because that wasn't in the script, they just kind of invented that for the film, because everybody was talking in the interviews about how strong they thought the script was. They were all like, this is a really strong script, blah blah blah. Like, even Andrew Kevin Walker said, if this was his...
Is he the one that wrote it?
Yeah, he's the writer.
Screenplay.
He said, if this was my only writing credit, I'd still be extremely happy. Like, he'd gone on to write other things, and he also said this is the closest adaptation to any of his scripts. Like, this film is the closest of anything he's ever written.
Okay, well, hold on. I just need to mention Brian Owens wrote the story, and Andrew Kevin Walker wrote the screenplay. So I want to make sure Brian Owens gets some credit.
Yeah, they don't talk to him at all. I don't know what the deal is with that.
I like Brian Owens has only a few credits. He wrote Brainscan and Happy Hell Night and then played himself in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Well, that's funny. You mentioned Hell Night. Andrew Kevin Walker talks about that. The company he was working for, can't remember the name, it was like a low-budget horror film. He originally wrote the script for Brainscan for that company who made Hell Night, eventually made Hell Night, but then they never produced his script and eventually, got made somewhere else. Which he was kind of like, it was kind of a surprise to him. He didn't even know like his script was still floating around there and it eventually got made. I mean, I'm sure he got a cut of it, but it just kind of happened.
Happy Hell Night actually has Sam Rockwell in it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Unless you guys have anything, I would like to officially do patch points.
Yeah.
All
If
right.
that works for you guys. Justin, you want to hit me with that theme, please?
Patch points.
Thank you.
Put a little extra gravy on that one.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right, so can we talk about how badass Michael's bedroom was?
Holy Christ, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Look, when I was a kid and I saw this, I was so jealous. I was like, why does he have such an awesome bedroom?
Well, because his mom's dead and his dad is distant, but his room's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I know clearly he had like his own refrigerator. Did he have like a kitchen? I know I could see like kitchen cabinets almost like off to one side.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he had a stove and whatnot, but a little kitchenette sort of setup.
Yeah, like a little setup. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck, dude?
Old desk, like top of the line technology and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm a middle-aged man, and my living quarters is smaller than his bedroom. The entirety of my home.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and I know, Justin, I believe you mentioned it already, but the Igor that he had was kind of Siri before Siri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome little setup there. Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure
T. Ryder Smith did the voice of Igor.
Ooh, I
think it was
know.
uncredited,
Maybe.
but yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, T. Ryder Smith admitted he was the uncredited voice of Igor, Michael's automated phone program. The voiceover was recorded with Smith doing 3 different impersonations. He says the filmmakers used his impersonation of Boris Karloff. So, little nugget. So, horror club. I would love to have had a horror club back in high school days.
Dude,
Wouldn't that have been awesome?
Oh my God.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start one now.
Let's do it.
We'll do a horror guild.
One question I do have, Death Part 2, is that an actual film? Maybe not the title, but the film clip that they're showing? Is that from something? I don't know.
Well, thank you for asking, Mike. According to IMDb, the footage that was used in Brainscan is actually the 1973 produced film, The Dracula Saga.
Oh, awesome.
Which was directed by Leon Klimovsky. A brief synopsis of that film is: Count Dracula's pregnant granddaughter arrives at his castle along with her husband, who is not a vampire. While she prepares to give birth to a new member of the Dracula line, her husband secretly launches into a series of affairs with the Count's resident brides.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, pretty cool. So how difficult would it be to cut off a human foot with a standard kitchen knife?
Probably impossible. I think you would have to actually shatter the bone at first to be able to cut it like that.
Or at least have a serrated knife, a serrated blade of some sort. That was like just a standard, like, what would you call that? I don't know what kind of, like not a butcher knife, but
it's not a butcher knife. I don't know what they call that.
But it just slid right through that foot.
Like butter, yeah. I don't think that's possible. But again, as we've already discussed, it's not real. It's part of the game.
Or is it? We will get back to that.
Well, yeah,
I think
we will.
you can do it.
So we talked about the score. We talked about Primus.
Yeah.
I did think, it's on my notes, Primus, and we touched on it, but just to reiterate, Primus is perfect for Trickster. And the vibe, his dancing, the whole thing. It was a perfect selection there.
It's a perfect meld of character and music.
Mm-hmm. So Trickster breaking his fingers and stabbing his eyes out.
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
I like Edward Furlong's reaction to when he stabs his eyeballs. He kind of like turns away and is like squinting his eyes. I was like, yeah, me too, bro, me too. It's funny because like as much as I love Fulci films and I'm accustomed to the eye trauma that he has in his films, this one still gets me. Like when he's poking his eye, you're just like, damn it.
Trickster eating mustard on bananas. Did I see that correctly?
Was it bananas that he was? Oh, God.
It looked like sliced up bananas with mustard on top.
Yeah, he was just trying to show how weird he was, eating a raw chicken.
Yeah, he was eating raw chicken.
Yeah, it was like food all over the place.
He's an edgelord. That's what they call that.
He's like, I hope you don't mind. I made myself a little snack. He's just gnawing on a chicken.
So we talked about Frank Langella playing Detective Hayden. And
what a good choice.
Oh yeah, he was great. Yeah, he was perfect for that style of role. Which,
Absolutely.
by the way, obviously, clearly leading up before I got to the ending, just in the past, like watching the film for what it was and the decision making that Edward Furlong's character was making, he was putting himself in very bad situations.
Oh, yeah.
You know, by skipping school the next day, showing up multiple times at crime scenes, just constantly putting himself under the microscope of these detectives.
Well, I think it's established that, like, well, even the detectives say when they go to talk to him, you know, they're like, we talked to your classmates, and he's like, oh, I hope they had nice things to say. And they're like, no. They said you're frightening and blah, blah, blah. So I think he's already he already is the misfit, you know? Yeah. He's the weird guy.
One kid even said you were filled with wasp venom.
Yes. Listen to our Burn After Reading episode and you'll understand. But yeah, he's already like the weirdo, the outcast. So he already kind of has that stigma on him.
He's a goober.
Kind of like the West Memphis 3. They already had that stigma on them. And that's why that's why they came under suspicion. But yeah, it is weird. But again, that's all in game.
So I have a question. I have a real world question now about a move that Frank Langella made through the course of this.
Okay. Where
he could tell when he was he saw the fireplace and he could tell that there was freshly burnt material in there. And it was, I guess, was it the middle of summer? And you know,
he's like, it's summertime. He was burning something.
So then he sneaks in at one point and he takes samples from the fireplace. Now, my real world question to you guys, would that be admissible in court if he didn't have a warrant to be there?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Let's say he took stuff out of the fireplace without a warrant and it turned up DNA. It was part of a dead body and he knew...
Too bad.
That would not be admissible.
Nope.
Well,
absolutely not.
They could spin it and be like,
get a search warrant,
work it to get a search warrant, and then say they got it. Then you know what I mean?
Got it. Yeah,
they could.
I feel like that could be.
They could.
I feel like the system could be worked there. Yeah.
They find a roundabout way to make it legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just raised the question. It raised the question, if he got the answers he was looking for, would he be able to use that?
Absolutely inadmissible. Absolutely 100%. Yeah. But like Justin said, they would probably finagle their way around, like get a search warrant for another reason, and then he could go in and be like, oh, look, this is what we found these ashes with, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Here's the real problem with that. He said it's summertime, right? So they shouldn't be like...
burning stuff,
having a fire in the summertime.
Yeah,
but they were all still in school. Were they all going to summer school?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, it could be like early summer. You know, like
that's what Sarah said too, and I'm calling bullshit on both of you. So here's my next point: why it wasn't summer. Because I've seen a lot of movies based in the 90s and from the 90s, and I've seen the absolute most 90s thing in this movie.
Okay.
Kyle wearing a flannel under his leather jacket while having a second flannel tied around his waist.
That was your style back in the 90s.
There was so much flannel.
Yeah, Justin, you were
I
all
could totally
about the flannel.
see you dressed like that, Justin. With the leather jacket.
Dude, I literally still dress like that now.
In the summertime?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't do that in the summertime. That's how I knew it was bullshit. I'm the resident expert on this shit.
Yeah, no, I didn't even put that together.
Well, I'm also curious where this film is taking place. I know it was filmed in Canada, but I don't know where
They said It looked like there's some information according to IMDb that the phone number that he gives says it would be somewhere in Pennsylvania, Mechanicsburg, perhaps.
717.
But I think later in the screenplay or something, it said it was supposed to be in Jersey.
And it doesn't look like it either. You know what it looks like to me? It looks like Washington or Washington or Oregon is what it looks like to me. But it's actually
Washington State.
Yeah, state. But it's actually filmed in Canada. I forget where exactly. But there's a small funny story about that with the effects guys, Steve Johnson and Andy Schoenberg. They were taking makeup effects and stuff. They landed in Canada. They took a plane, and when they got to the airport, I guess they found all their makeup stuff. They detained them because they had no work permit, basically, to be from the U.S. coming into Canada. They were instructed to say, we're going to some meetings, but they weren't. They were clearly bringing all their materials there to start production on on this film, but they didn't have the work permits. And the cops were questioning them separately. Steve Johnson got mad at Andy Schoenberg because Andy Schoenberg actually broke and was like, all right, yeah, we're here doing the makeup effects for this movie. They went to the other guy, Steve Johnson, and they were looking for him to corroborate the story, and he wouldn't break. But because Steve Johnson wouldn't break, they arrested them and put them in a holding cell. And then the next day they took them out, handcuffed them again, took them through the airport, put them on a plane, took the handcuffs off. The plane took them back to LA, and then they had to go back through and get the paperwork before they could go back. And this was all over the equivalent of $50. The production company didn't want to spend $50 on permits, and it ended up costing them like $30,000 when all was said and done.
Smokes.
With fees and
Also, they could make T. Ryder Smith look like shit.
Which is funny because I was looking at Steve Johnson's other stuff he's done. He did Highway to Hell, which I liked. I thought the special effects were pretty cool on that.
I like that. That movie's weird. Oh, okay.
Freaked.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. I just
Freaked.
This
Is that the one with Bobcat?
Didn't do it for me. No, that's the one with Alex Winter.
Alex Winter directed that, didn't he? Or is he just acting in it?
He directed it, but I think he's also in it.
I think he's also in it. Yeah. There's also a little tidbit about the. You guys remember the transformation scene when he's in Kimberly's bedroom?
Yeah.
And he starts blending with Trickster.
Yeah.
Initially, that was a practical effect, and there's some behind the scenes footage that actually shows that it's deleted. They initially were doing it as a
I would like to see that.
They were doing it as a practical effect. It very much looked like The Thing, where it was a melding of faces and pieces.
Yeah.
It was all warped and crazy looking. And I guess the director was kind of overwhelmed with it. It was a lot of weird setting up. They had to build a false bed and all this stuff to pull this effect off. And I guess he just didn't like the way it looked, and it was ultimately decided that it was a little too much for this movie, too weird. So they took it out. But you guys should
too good.
I know. So they went with the crappy
I'd love to see
CG.
It says originally, this is IMDb, originally towards the end of the film when it says the Trickster. When Trickster merges with Michael, they were supposed to form a horrific abomination which was supposed to terrify Kimberly.
Yep.
We don't know for sure why the scene was cut, as the filmmakers were really proud of how horrific the abomination looked.
Yeah, they were actually disappointed when they saw the film and that wasn't in it. They changed it, and they're like, "Oh man," because if you can find it, I mean, it's on the Blu-ray. There's special features that shows it, so it may be available online somewhere. Maybe you can find it on YouTube. But it looks pretty cool. Like I said, it looks like The Thing. It's that kind of a practical effect where it's all just warped looking and blended.
That really would have pulled me back in.
Yeah. So just to knock out the last of my Pat's points here, how do these detectives miss footprints underneath the window where an intruder got into the house and killed someone? You think that would be one of the first things that they look for. But again, it all makes sense at the end.
Well, yeah.
The bizarre merging effect, just to piggyback off what you just said, Mike, it's funny that they got away from the practical and went so drastically the other direction where it was just this weird digital just bizarre.
Yeah.
You can say turd.
It's a shame. It's a shame they didn't squeeze at least a portion of the practical stuff.
Among the many things that kind of date this movie, that's one of the tops. Like there's just the digital
for sure.
effects are pretty 90s. 90s low budget.
Some of the other digital effects looked pretty good, though.
I agree.
And I'm not a big fan of digital effects. Like, there was a part with blood that turned into
the disc?
a CD.
Yeah.
Disc.
I thought that looked pretty good.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely stuff that does work, but the transformation scene, the scene that was originally the abomination, kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it seemed a little rushed and.
Yeah.
So I like the moment at the end with Michael and Kimberly when he asks her out on a date, and she says no, and he in essence just gives like a Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance kind of response.
Well, she doesn't say no. She's like, well, I'll think about it. So maybe.
Oh come on, let's be real here. She said fucking no.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was the most
She was just being
anticlimactic
I know.
relationship thing ever. And it's like it builds up, and she's like, Like, and you already know she's taking pictures.
Well, that's what I'm
but
saying.
She didn't even seem sly about it. Like she was playing hard to get. She like legitimately looked like, I don't know.
That was
Well,
a bad time. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
like,
bad
I don't
time.
think you guys
Dude.
picked up on a couple things, though.
Okay, explain.
When they go into the bedroom, she's kind of hiding her face and smiling. Like she knows what's coming.
Oh, yeah, I saw the smirk, but then that's why I was surprised when he asked the question and she gave such a lame response because that's not what that smirk told me was going to happen. It looked as if she was excited that this conversation was finally happening.
I think she was playing it cool.
I think she might have overcompensated on that one then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they are awkward
But-
kids. They didn't know. We didn't know what we
She
were
was
doing
one
that
step
phase of
away
our
from
lives.
saying, "Get the fuck out of my house."
I know.
Also, as she goes to leave the room, kisses him on the lips. So
Yeah.
I think she really was being genuine. Like, I don't know. I think she was saying, maybe I'll think about it, but I'm not really like willing to answer right now.
To be fair, I'm going to go on the other side. They were teenagers who are not the most subtle and don't know what shit's going on. So they nailed that teenage awkwardness. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I also like the fact that Kyle, his buddy Kyle, kind of finds a girl at the end. She's the best friend of Kimberly. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
cool.
that was cool. The question I have for you guys, and I know you guys have some points, so I want to get this out really quickly because we got to get to our ratings. The post-credit scene we have to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
So, thoughts on that? So, if this was all a simulation and a video game and none of it happened, then what is the foot telling us when it
Okay.
shows up in the dog's mouth?
Here's my 2 cents on that. I don't know if you noticed this, but the film also opens with that. But that's the opening of the film, and then when the credits start, Trickster's voice at the end credits says, "Wait a minute, aren't you forgetting something?" And then it goes to the clip of the dog doing the same thing that it showed at the beginning of the film, and now you see, oh yeah, it's the foot that he has in his mouth, and he drops it at the door of Michael's house. My interpretation, it's raising the question: was it the game or was it reality? And it's kind of questioning your own reality. Like, are you living in reality, or is it all just a fantasy world?
Yeah, so it's asking bigger questions like, yeah, sure, this was just a game within his reality, but your reality is just someone else's virtual reality.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got out of it. I don't know if that might have just been a tacked on thing that they just wanted to put in there just to throw a curveball at the audience.
I like that type of stuff. I like when films do that, where it's like, you think you got all the answers and it's like, oh, let's just throw you a little curveball here.
Yeah, you're kind of like, oh,
question this.
Well, now it's not really what I thought it was. So what am I really seeing? Justin, what do you got?
I checked out at that point. By that point, I was like, this doesn't make sense. Fuck it, it's over, and I turned it off. I was like way into it at the beginning, and then it started losing me halfway. I'll watch it again because sometimes I watch something and I'm like, I'm not really into it, and then I'll watch it again later. So maybe if I'll watch it again later, and if I'm more into it, like maybe I'll kind of expend a little more brain energy towards that. But at this point, I had nothing.
So, do you guys have final points real quick before we proceed to our ratings?
Only 2 things I want to bring up really quickly. I didn't even pick up on this until the writer Andrew Kevin Walker mentions it. He thought it was pretty cool that Michael's character has a widescreen tube TV. That's like rare. Who had one of it? He's like, who had that?
Yeah.
It's a good point.
But there it is in the movie. And then the only other thing I wanted to talk about was the character of Michael himself, how much of a loner he is. I relate to that, but in a different way. He was a loner.
Non-voyeur kind of way.
Yeah.
In a less androgynous way.
He was a loner because he was because of what happened to him as a kid. You know, he lost his mom, and it kind of like closed him off from people in a way.
Yeah.
I was kind of a loner in a different respect. I mean, he still had friends. I mean, he had his buddy Kyle, and he had his horror club and stuff, and I can relate to that too. Like, I always had like a small circle of friends when I was younger and stuff.
You'll have to introduce me one day.
Yeah, you guys should meet up sometime. My isolation was more a geographical isolation. So because of my isolation, very much like Michael, I kind of had to entertain myself.
This is coming full circle. It just came full circle back to the beginning. You clever fucking bastard. I was wondering where this was going. It all goes back to self-gratification. Holy shit.
Yep, the Lord of self-gratification.
The Lord of self-gratification speaks.
No, but you know, and because of that isolation, because I was kind of just like stuck at home with just me and my parents, or a lot, you know, in the summertime, completely by myself, couldn't go anywhere. There was nowhere I could walk to, like no neighbors to play with, or stores to just go check out, because I was so far away from all that. I literally just sat at home. So that was what kind of sparked my interest in movies, in reading, and music, because that's all I did. I would just get up in the morning and pop a movie in. And, you know, this film was during that time period, for sure. The root of that isolation, I can really relate to Michael's character in a different way, different circumstances, but I understand it, and I definitely feel it.
Wow. Justin?
Do you think I was that girl's boobs at the beginning, or do you think I was a stand-in?
I mean, the actress was in her early 20s, so maybe.
I was just joking. I was just trying to take your Roy heart-touching moment and turn it into boobs. But
well, notice that Mike rolled right into it.
Yeah,
though,
he was
didn't
like, "Yeah, dude, let's talk about boobs." I like that. I think that also goes back to how strong it started off with. Like, it starts off bold. You know what I mean? But then, like, and it feels like an R-rated film, and then even towards the end, it doesn't feel so much R-rated anymore. You know?
Yeah, I can see that.
Justin, do you have any points before we get to our ratings?
I got a few things real quick. We just commented on the effect that they love to use in the 90s with the I called the information superhighway, where it was just like a digital graphic of the tube.
Oh,
and at the end, he kind of just like, it's like a
thing.
still of him sitting in a chair, but not with the chair removed, and he's just like flying through it.
Yes.
Yeah, that you saw all the time. And then what did Sarah call it? She called it like the meat tube or something.
Oh, yeah.
It reminds me of that movie Hideaway.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Goldblum. It's that kind of effect.
Wasn't that a Dean Koontz?
It's a Dean Koontz book, yeah. Which I like that movie. It's a totally 90s movie, just like Brainscan.
Yeah, with the information super meat highway. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because I know a lot of people are going to be really mad if we don't bring that up. So we got that. Let me check that off. So,
oh, shit.
One other thing that I noticed that I thought was super cool was there was two voices.
Real quick, Justin, I'm sorry. I just love the juxtaposition here where Mike goes on and talks about his preteen isolation, and you take us right to a meat highway. It's a wonderful dynamic we have here on the show.
Yeah, we're all doing our part. One thing I thought was cool, I didn't realize until I started looking it up. There's actually two of the people in here do voices of two of my favorite animated series of all time.
Oh, nice.
Of all
Hit me
time.
with it.
T. Ryder
enlighten me.
Smith does a few voices in Venture Brothers,
No shit. Are you
oh,
fucking serious?
most notably Baron Underbite.
Oh my god. Are you
Yeah.
serious?
That's him, yeah.
You just blew my mind. You just
Yeah.
blew my mind, dude. Like I'm being completely genuine right now. I'm not hyping it up for the episode.
Yeah,
That is mind blowing to me.
that's how I felt.
I'm not that blown.
Holy shit.
Yeah, because that's such a great character and such a great show too. If you haven't seen Venture Brothers, well, I feel like I'm
show is
very
great.
selective of who I tell to watch it, because like people might, like our generation and a bit older, will get a lot
Yeah.
of the references, where if you're a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
younger,
yeah.
you might not get some of the references. But it's still a funny show. Also, David Hemblen, who plays, I guess he's the principal, did
yeah,
the voice
okay.
of Magneto in the X-Men cartoon
Oh,
from
wow.
the 90s.
Oh wow.
Holy cow.
Okay. I would not have known that because I've never really watched. I've seen it a few
Oh.
times, like with Pat.
That's
but,
awesome. Yeah.
Huh.
In my opinion, one of the best animated like superhero shows of all, if not the best of
Yeah.
all time.
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty cool. I didn't
Yeah.
know he did that.
My last point, I was just going to make. We already talked about Frank Langella, so we're not going to go off on it. But it was cool seeing him because I really like him. He played Dracula. He was in 1492
Yep.
Conquest of Paradise, which I like that movie. I saw it years ago, but I don't remember him in it. So I don't even know why I'm bringing it up.
I've never seen it. I don't even know if I've heard
it
of
has,
that.
Michael Wincott is in it also.
Oh,
Yeah. Dude, check it out. We'll talk about
I
it.
love me some Michael Wincott.
The Ninth Gate, I loved him in that. I forget his name in it, but
Yes.
The
Yeah.
Ninth Gate's one of those movies I hated the first time I saw it. I adored it the second time I watched it, and then the third time I was like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Is that the one with Depp?
Yeah.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I got to see that again then, because the first time I saw it, I was,
I was
so disappointed.
I left. I was like,
Polanski.
"What the fuck did I just watch?" And then the second time, I think I didn't get it the
Yeah.
first time. I think, and the second time I got it. And I was gonna say, and he was in the Lolita remake, which I liked him in that too. So that was a few little things, a little highlights of his career I wanted to point
Wow.
out before we wrap things up.
Yeah. No, we certainly didn't give. I'm glad you brought him up because we certainly didn't. He's a legend, and we didn't give him enough time.
Yeah.
On this episode, we were too busy talking about Furlong and his cocaine situations.
I believe it's pronounced cocaine.
Cocaine.
Shall we rate this thing?
Yeah, let's do it up.
All right, Mike, it was your pick. I will give you the reins to decide in what order we shall rate.
I'll go first, and then I'll wing it with you guys. I've done that before.
Okay.
I'll just throw it to one of you guys. This is a movie that I like. I've already discussed. I gravitated toward it, in my teen years. It's definitely flawed. It's definitely dated. Unlike some of the other movies that have that real strong nostalgia, this one has that, but not as strong. I don't think it's a bad film in any way. I like to watch it once in a while, and I'm glad it finally came out on Blu-ray the past couple of years, because it was hard to find for like a long time.
Like your point.
Yes, exactly. So, with all that, I would give this a 6.5.
Okay, 6.5.
Huh. Okay.
And I'm going to throw it to Justin.
I did not like this movie as much as Mike, so I'm going to try and be a little sensitive with things I say, because I don't have the nostalgia factor. So with that being said, let's rate this hot pile of dog shit. No, I'm just kidding. No, like I said, I really liked the beginning. I think it started out really strong. I definitely got a total 90s vibe from it. Like it took me, instantly took me back to 1994. I love the soundtrack.
Yeah.
The music's great. I think honestly, I think the screenplay was probably better than the whole finished product for one reason or another. I don't even think the directing was bad. I think John Flynn did a fine enough job. I'm not exactly sure what started happening towards the end.
Yeah.
Where just things kind of, like I said, it kind of went from feeling like a hard R movie at the beginning, and like, I felt like it was going to be a little more meaty and a little more nastier, and then as it kind of went on, it kind of felt a little lighter and lighter till at the end when it was just that weird CGI makeout sesh between the two of them. Which I think would have been cool if they did do. I want to see the practical effects because I think that would have been a cool like. I think I would have liked it that much more, where it starts off strong, kind of gets weak in the middle, and then if they were able to bring it back with some really cool special effects at the end, that would have been great.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen, so I can't rate it on that. And then I didn't really particularly like Trickster. However, I'm very curious about the actor. I would have liked to seen him in more stuff because man, he was really dedicated.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
So I'll go. I'll give it a 5.2.
That's fair.
Yeah, I didn't expect that high, to be honest.
Well, I always go high. My ratings mean nothing.
You forget who you're talking about, Pat.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, so my view on this film is I'm glad I watched it again. It's been easily 15 plus years since I've seen it last. It instantly, when I heard that opening music, instantly brought me back to that time. And it was definitely like I don't know. I've been experiencing that a lot with the MacGuffin Guild when we're watching these movies I haven't seen in years. And
it's like a time capsule.
Yeah, it unlocked those moments and those periods of my life. So it's funny because this is one of those situations where I think my rating is swayed and skewed by personal experiences with the film, not necessarily because of the quality and how well it held up. But I did notice, and maybe it's because I'm more hyper-focused on this stuff as an adult, having been through school and whatnot. I don't recall seeing it back then and thinking how horrendous a job Furlong did with his acting. But watching it this time around, it was just downright awful. Like, it was bad acting, I feel. So I'm not going to hate on the dude. He's done some good stuff. I mean, we talked about some of them earlier, some pretty top-notch stuff. So I'm not saying that he's always a bad actor, but this just was not his it was not his project, I suppose. Even with the nostalgic factor, yeah, I'm kind of like right in the middle of the road. I'm kind of like, I guess 5.5. Like the bit of nostalgia that I have with this is counterbalanced with the again, the poor decision making and poor direction, especially with the acting. I like the idea. I love the script. I think that the idea itself is a really cool idea, especially for its time. This was before we had virtual reality sets in our own homes. Like this is well ahead of its time. So again, when you put it in that context, it was a lot more impactful back then because it was such a foreign idea.
Sure.
So you look at it kind of differently now. But anyway, I'm at the 5.5. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Because it's not like a phenomenal movie.
It was fun to watch.
I like to watch it occasionally. I enjoy aspects of it.
I loved that score. Like that main hook, that main theme was awesome. So I really, really like that. That's such a solid hook. But I real quick, before we wrap this up, though, we have to talk about John Flynn real quick, who passed away in 2007. He was the director. I just want to read this about him, because he's got 16 director credits. This was his third to last film, so he only did 2 more films after this. This was 94. He did Absence of the Good in 99, which was a TV movie, and then he did a film called Protection in 2001, and that was it. He passed in 2007 at 75 years old. Just a little... I'm not familiar with him, to be honest with you. Had you asked me before we were doing this film for the podcast who directed it, I would have had no idea.
Same.
Like, I just did not know.
No, I wouldn't either.
So I just wanted to read this little synopsis on him. John Flynn was a very fine, efficient, and sadly underrated director who excelled at making mean and lean crime pictures. His movies are distinguished by tight plots, a hard, no-nonsense tone, and a taut, streamlined, and fiercely economical directorial style. I'm intrigued by his other work. Like a lot of his other stuff, if you're just looking at the movie covers, a lot of them look like almost like Dirty Harry type movies, guys with guns. And he did Out for Justice with Steven Seagal.
Oh, no shit.
So,
okay.
So anyway, I'm intrigued by him, but I didn't know anything about him. So I wanted to make sure we gave John Flynn a little shout out here.
Yeah, good call, man.
But you're right, Mike. When you said that opening, I think it was you, Mike, that said the opening there with the car accident.
Yeah, the
and
opening
the rain
sequence
and
is
with the
beautifully
music,
shot.
Like that whole tone to open the film was really on point. Mm-hmm. And then by the end, it was just a fucking train wreck. But can't all
to be
winners.
clear though, I probably will watch this again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Like-
I will, obviously.
I know you will, yeah, but I think I probably will too. Especially because, like, I always like to, after we discuss things, like, get in deep discussions about things, I like to go back and watch it too, because you guys brought up stuff I didn't even think about. Now I kind of want to go back and check it with, with those new eyes.
With those other perspectives in mind.
Yeah.
Trickster eyes. All right. Well, final thoughts before we shut it down.
Nah, man. I just hope
right.
Eddie Furlong's doing well wherever he's at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And I hope everyone's doing well. That was a thing I think I used to do back in the day and kind of just wish everyone doing well, and I kind of got away from it because I don't really care anymore. No, I'm just kidding. I just didn't think to No, I just didn't think to say it. We kind of started moving in a different direction. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well out there if you're hearing this. And, we're kind of, seems like we're starting to work our way out of the pandemic at this point. So,
Yeah, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah, but still, people are still dealing with certain things. And, just hopefully keep smiling, keep laughing, keep having a good time. And whatever you do and spread joy and happiness and watch movies and, I don't know, get lit.
Yeah. I mean, reach out to Mike if you want to be a lord of self-gratification.
Yeah. I heard they're taking
I think there's
applications now,
positions-
so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Our average, 5.73 was our average.
Okay. Not the
So-
lowest.
A little above average.
I think that's fair for this movie. I really do.
Yeah. Well, it got a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes, so yeah, I'd say it's fair.
Yeah, we're super fans by those numbers.
That rating is fair.
Justin, Mike, again, love that we're doing this. I love that the MacGuffin Guild carries on. What episode is this? 27?
Yeah, 27.
It's
Yep.
it's pretty awesome. Thank you guys, always a pleasure, and thank you everybody for listening. Make sure you're following us to stay up to date with all the latest guild news. Not that there's much, but Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Find us, follow us. I guess, are we supposed to tell people, hey, go to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating? Is that a thing we're supposed to do as podcasters? That seems to be like a thing people do.
You can, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Like,
I have no idea.
people say it sometimes. I don't know. You can.
All right. Well, yeah. If you're hearing this and you have an Apple Podcast thing, why don't you give us a quick little rating? Maybe 5 stars.
Yeah, unless it's bad, then keep your opinions to yourself. No one asked you. All right? We're all about ups, not downs. Positive thinking, you piece of shit.
That's right. That's right. But thank you, everybody, for being a part of it. Before we close out, though, Freaked, the movie Freak that we had mentioned earlier, that was the movie I was thinking of. That has... it has Bobcat in it. He plays the guy with the sock puppet head.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen it.
Keanu Reeves is in it as Ortiz, the dog boy.
That's going to pop up.
Oh, yeah. I love this movie. This is awesome. Alex Winter, obviously, is in it. Bobcat Goldthwait. Mr. T. Randy Quaid.
Keanu Reeves, I think, was explicitly told not to do this movie. Because it was when he was, like, building his career and stuff. But because him and Alex Winter were such good friends, he's like, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Wow. All right. Anyway, I just want to throw that out there. That was the movie I was thinking of, so that's pretty cool.
Hey,
So,
Justin, why don't you tell the listeners at home what next week's film is?
Oh, yeah. We're doing Kill or Be Killed, 1976, also known as Karate Killer. So check it out.
There you go.
Wherever you steal movies from. And watch it before next weekend. We will discuss it.
yeah.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to that because I have no clue what I'm getting into with that one.
Yeah.
Well, let's karate kill this podcast.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Justin, Mike, thank you guys. We will see you next week. Thank you, everybody, and have a great week and be safe.
All right.
Peace.
Later.
Goodbye.
I raised you better than this.
And now for a very special treat for our MacGuffin listeners who have stuck around to this portion of the show. Here is a small sample of Edward Furlong's Japanese hit, People Are Strange. Enjoy.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the